Number 5.
Smack Studio is both a platform fighter and a pixel art animation tool which started development in 2018 using Unity, but later moved over to using Unreal Engine 4.27. The game comes with 18 characters and a variety of stages created by the dev team, but also allows you to edit or make characters right within the same executable and share them through the Steam Workshop. On top of that, it also comes with a pretty nifty stage builder which you can use to create new battlegrounds. I first found out about Smack Studio when coming across this YouTube short that had almost 3 million views, which shows how we can use a bone-based approach to animate pixel art and then export these sprite sheets to even use them in our other games. The part that was the most interesting about this is that the editor generates depth maps from the pixel art, allowing you to rotate limbs and achieve a fake 3D effect through using a compute shader within Unreal. Smack Studio was created by a small indie studio called Third Pixel Interactive, and they were able to gather about $35,000 through Kickstarter in 2024. This money helped them fund the remaining development, and even after the game released, it did fairly well on Steam. Recently, I myself actually tried to use it to optimize my animation workflow for top-down characters to use in my upcoming JRPG course. But things didn't work out all that well for my purposes, and I ended up going with a different software called Pixel Over instead. But you might want to give it a try for your projects. And speaking of awesome software that you should give a try, this video's sponsor is Odyssey, a free Unreal Engine plugin that allows you to create storyboards, 2D animations, or textures directly within Unreal. You have access to a multitude of brushes, vector tools, animation timelines, and much more. These tools can be used to create textures for decals, foliage, and static meshes in your scene, making them not only useful for 2D animators but also game developers. Probably most relevant for my viewers, you can create or edit pixel art without having to leave Unreal. And you can of course use 2D sprites within 3D environments to create interesting scenes. And again, it's completely free for you to use since they got awarded an Epic Mega Grant and their business model relies on offering support and training. So make sure to check it out from the link in the description.
Number 4.
Harbinger is a 90s inspired arena shooter created with Unreal Engine 5.4. The developer DoBRX was also responsible for a similar game called Cryptis, which we covered in an earlier episode. And while Harbinger features similar combat for the most part, it's a lot larger in scale, also featuring a hub area with NPCs, unlockable weapons, and a lot of other things for the player to do. He created the game using only blueprints, and it took him roughly 8 months to develop as opposed to Cryptis, which only took about 4 months. Harbinger is also available for free on Steam and managed to get overwhelmingly positive reviews and roughly 15,000 downloads. Releasing the game for free of course helped with exposure since people would just randomly find it on Steam, and it was featured on Opera GX's free game section and other free game websites. While Cryptis featured fully dynamic lighting, for Harbinger DoBRX decided to go for screen-spaced global illumination and baked lighting, which while making the level design process more annoying due to having to rebake a lot, did improve the game's performance immensely. And again, the game features sprite-based enemies created using the Anim2Sprite plugin, and these are then driven by the free PaperZD plugin. Harbinger was also nominated for multiple categories in the Bite Me Game Awards 2024 and ended up winning in the Biggest Blast category.
Number 3.
Vending Dokan Cozy Kiosk is a cozy idle simulator game created with Unreal Engine 5.5. Your goal is to build a vending machine empire by setting up locations, handling stock, and managing staff. I stumbled upon this game while watching the Wholesome Direct in June 2025, and while it wasn't instantly apparent in the trailer that Vending Dokkan was made with Unreal Engine, while playing the demo I could clearly see how it's using Lumen for global illumination by how the colors from the vending machines project onto the wall, and also by how noisy things can look at times. As many idle games do, this game also comes with many options for how you want to set up your window so you can keep on playing on the side while taking care of other things. And while I've seen many Unity and Godot games do this, it's nice to see an Unreal Engine game with these options as well. While the game is still only available in early access, it's already seen decent success and will probably continue to do well throughout following Steam Fests and the 1.0 version release. It also managed to set up a bundle deal with Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions, which is another Unreal game we covered in an earlier episode, which is probably also gonna help it find long-term success.
Number 2.
Frog Legs is a genre-bending game created with Unreal Engine 5.2. It starts out with a classic Atari-style minigame, later on turns into a 3D puzzle horror game, and eventually becomes a boomer shooter. When I reached out to the developer Elliot Dale, he mentioned that he used Paper 2D without any plugins like PaperZD for both the minigame and the boomer shooter sections. The development took roughly 15 months, with Elliot only working on it in the evenings and on weekends while working as a software engineer at his day job. This project actually started out as a way for him to learn C++ with Unreal since he has only tinkered around with blueprints up to that point. And he started out by putting together the dungeon level and puzzle mechanics. Later on, he implemented his idea of Frogger gone wrong and eventually used a mix of both C++ and blueprints to finish up the game. While he was the only core member of the project, he outsourced the creation of pixel art, some 3D models, and even hired a PR freelancer. This led to Froglegs being featured on IGN and getting picked up by multiple content creators, with some videos reaching multiple hundreds of thousands of views. And while the game still hasn't seen crazy success in terms of sales, it definitely helped move the needle.
Number 1.
Replic's Survivor is a 2D top-down survivors-like with an anime look made with Unreal Engine 5.1. It was the first project by a team of 5 developers called Deep Sea Cat, and the reason they decided to use Unreal for a project like this over more obvious choices is that they're also game developers during their day job and have a lot of experience working in Unreal. This allowed them to finish the game much faster than spending months learning a completely new tool. But they did mention that they initially struggled with Paper 2D and their workflow became much better after they decided to implement the free Paper ZD plugin. I believe the character design in pixel art is great, and they have a lot of enemy variety, with one new enemy type being introduced almost every new wave during the early game. And I found myself playing this game a lot longer than I really had to when recording footage. All in all, it's a pretty good game, and it managed to sell roughly 3,000 units, which is quite impressive for their first outing. Thanks for watching till the end, and as a short announcement, at least for the time being, I am discontinuing this series. I was really burned out on making tutorials last year and wanted to try something new, but making this series actually turned out to use up more of my time than I thought, and right now finishing up the JRPG course is my main priority, while there's also a couple of YouTube tutorials I want to finalize. But thanks for all the support so far, and also thanks to my awesome patrons and YouTube channel members.